You're watching Burnout Triumphants episode 10. A little shout out to Digiburn. Digiburn is a digital tool supporting young and experienced professionals to track their mental well being, improve their lifestyle, and achieve the desired work life balance. Get Digiburn now this month and, keep an eye out for the original date. So, Anne is my guest today. In her accidental marketing career, she went through burnout and came out of it stronger than ever. So, hey, Anne.
Hey, Pavel, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So, how are you feeling?
Today, I'm feeling wonderful. It's a great day. It's a great day. I'm very
Amazing,
excited.
amazing. I'm
Yeah,
glad to have you on. Your story is really interesting, and I think everyone who watches this will get something out of it. So let's rewind a bit. Tell me about yourself and your career. Did you go to college? How did you get into the whole marketing thing?
sure. Well, you said it at the beginning, right? I was an accidental marketer, and I refer to myself as that all the time, not just to let folks know that you can basically bumble your way into any career, but that
Yeah.
it's actually okay to do so. When I was in college, I specialized in literature and history of art, which meant that I had no marketing background whatsoever. I was really good at words. I was really good at dates. I was really good at really nice party and cocktail conversation, but that was about it. But what happened with me in my career is I kept saying yes to things. And this was 20 years ago because I'm not a young person here, folks. 41. It was just my birthday this week. But basically, social media had just started when I was out of college, and a lot of companies just didn't know what to do with it. And the company that I was working with at the time basically said, "Hey, does anybody know how to do that Facebook thing?" And I had been at Yale, so I knew very much what that Facebook thing was. I was an early adopter, almost by accident. Again, theme of my life. I mean, I said,
Yeah.
I know how to do that Facebook thing. And the Facebook thing turned into, do you know how to do that Twitter thing? Sure, I know how to do the Twitter thing. How about that Pinterest thing? I know how to do the Pinterest thing. And social led to email marketing, led to content marketing, led to branding, led to design, led to digital advertising. And over the course of the past 20 years, almost 20 years that I've been in marketing, I just kept saying yes to things. And every time I said yes, I didn't know what the heck I was getting myself into, but I would research it, I would find out, I would do hands-on learning, and then I'd fail a lot and then get good at it. So yeah, I don't have an MBA. I never graduated with a degree in marketing, but 20 years later, I've been acting CMO of companies. I've been VP of marketing and growth and sales. I just keep saying yes and keep learning, and that's kind of where I've ended up. Yeah.
Great. What would you say about that way of, approaching things? Because you told me when we talked a couple days ago, you told me about that. And I was surprised about, just saying yes. And I'm not sure. Like, I think I'm a big fan of that, but I'm wondering, how do you feel about that mindset and that approach of just, hell yeah, let's go?
So, that's a very interesting question because I think the yes mindset is very closely tied to a growth mindset. However, right, because you're always saying, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll try it out. No, I'm not scared to fail. Let's figure it out. That's my big mantra in life. I don't know, but I'll figure it out is something that I say a lot. I
Yeah,
say it to my kids, I say it to myself. However, it does have kind of a dark side to it. It has a sharp edge to it. And that is when you are that person who says yes all the time, it can also mean that you will say yes to things that maybe are too big for you, or maybe they're too much on your plate. So it's a very interesting and good mindset to have. I think it's certainly benefited me well, but it has also, apropos of the topic that we're covering today, it has led me to basically put too much on my plate or say potentially yes to things that I maybe was equipped potentially to do intellectually, but maybe not physically or mentally ready to actually take on. So it's an interesting, it's a double-edged sword. It can be
right.
extremely
Yeah,
beneficial for a career, but it can also lead you down some dark hard paths if you don't have control over it.
totally. Yeah, great. Well, tell me about the let's say kind of the beginning of your burnout. How did your environment look back then? I assume you were working in marketing.
Yeah, always in marketing. You can safely assume that if it's in the past 15 or so years, it's definitely
Yeah,
been.
as a matter of fact, I know you were working in marketing. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
you
act
do.
that out as we're never talked again.
Exactly. We've never talked before. You know nothing about me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely in marketing. So, it's again, and I say it's interesting a lot because when I think back on my life, even though I've had a very extreme episode of burnout, it's not been the first time that this has happened, right?
Oh.
And so I would say that multiple times, and I thought about this after we talked, and multiple times in my life, especially because at one point I ran my own marketing consultancy. This was about 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago. And I was definitely, in retrospect, burned out back then. I was working 90-hour weeks. I had a new baby. I had a 2-year-old. I was trying to make ends meet. I was running a whole thing. I was definitely burnt out. I probably attributed my exhaustion and just my general discombobulation to, well, I have a newborn, I have a 2-year-old, I'm running a business. Of course, I'm exhausted and I can't really think straight. But in retrospect, for sure. But my most severe episode of burnout, I would say, actually started back in 2020, which is when the entire world was essentially getting ready to burn out. And it's again interesting because it was precipitated. The catalyst for it was actually something that most people, if they were to look at it on paper, they would say, oh, this is an incredible opportunity. This is so great. I was working for a healthcare education technology company, and the CMO had just decided that they were going to take another role. And I was a director of marketing, of product marketing at the time, demand generation as well. And I was working under the CMO. And when they decided to go to another company, the CEO called me up and said, hey, we thought about it. We talked about it among the leadership team, and we would like you to take over. We'll promote you to VP. You'll be acting CMO. You'll go from running a team of 6 people to running a team of 70. And because I'm a yes person, and because it was an incredibly exciting opportunity, guess what I said? I said, yes, literally. I said, yes, let's go. Literally within the same call, within 5 minutes of me getting on the call with my CEO, he said, hey, you want the job? Within 30 seconds, I said, he asked me, well, do you want it? And I said, yep, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And on the surface, you look at it and you go, wow, amazing. This person is running a small team. Now they've been given this amazing opportunity. They are a queer, Hispanic woman. This is amazing in technology, the visibility. Wow, the diversity. It's so great. And that's certainly what it was on the surface, for sure. Externally, amazing. What I didn't realize at the time was that I actually wasn't that prepared for that kind of jump. I wasn't prepared. I was ready. I wanted to do it. The desire was definitely there. But my ability to actually being able to handle all of that wasn't there yet. It was too early for me. And that's something that I've come to realize in retrospect, right? But at the time, I was like, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And the job was just too big, to be completely honest. And I didn't know how to ask for help. And it became very apparent to me very quickly after about the first 3 months in the role that it was just too much. But at that point, you're 3 months in the role. You've got 70 people who are depending on you. You are a very visible person in the company and externally as well, because there aren't a whole lot of executive, female, brown, gay leaders in the tech space. This is not a thing that happens very often. So I was visible. I had a very good story about how I'd been promoted. I had a big team of people, and there was no way on earth that I was going to externally say, hey, this is too much. This is too big. I can't handle it. I need help. I don't know. First of all, in many cases, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out, but it was going too fast. I worked all the time. I met with people, my team all the time. I never had rest. And before I knew it, I was very much in the throes of burnout.
Wow. Well, yeah, it sounds like too much.
In
Honestly.
retrospect, when you say it out loud, right, you're like, that is definitely a lot. But you know what the interesting part about it is, Pavel, is especially at the executive level, you're not really allowed to say when something is too much. It's if you say out loud, hey, I don't think I can handle this, or hey, I need help, or I just don't know what to do, or I don't know how I'm going to get this result. Response hardly ever is, okay, let's help you figure it out. The response is typically, oh, maybe we made a mistake in hiring you, or maybe we made a mistake in promoting you, or Well, everybody else can handle this. Why can't you handle this? It's
Yeah.
never, it's never, you are not allowed to be weak. In so many ways, you are not allowed. And if you say that you, and weakness, and I say weak because that is how it is perceived.
Yeah.
People are not weak. People who experience burnout are not weak. They are actually incredibly strong people who have taken on so much and they simply cannot handle it and they need help. That's not weakness, that's humanity, right? Like that is just being a person.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to say it. And so you're stuck. You're stuck. You have to do the thing that you said that you were going to do. And the price that you pay is your health. The price that you pay is your physical health, is your mental health. I mean, you and I talked about what were the physical embodiments
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
how I presented burnout. Well, from just a physical perspective, I lost a ton of weight. And I'm not a big person to begin with, but I probably lost about 15 to 20 pounds. Like I got very, very thin. And the reason I got very thin was because I wasn't eating. I was never hungry. I was drinking heavily, heavily every night. And the reason I was drinking heavily was because I was basically trying to calm my anxiety. That was the stuff on the inside that you couldn't see. I was extremely anxious all the time. I was so anxious, but I hid it. I hid it really well in the era of Zoom and Zoom meetings. And I was having meetings from the very early morning, 8 a.m., all the way to the evening, 5 or 6 p.m. I was in meetings. You have to hide it. If you are sad, you put on a smile. If you are anxious, you calm your face. Your job is to reassure your team, present a confident persona. I was anxious. I was so anxious. My heart rate was so high, but at the same time, I was also pretty depressed. I didn't feel like eating. I wanted to sleep all the time. I was thinking about this actually after you and I talked. One of the things I very clearly remember, and this was in the fall of 2020,
Yeah.
right as things were getting really bad. I actually remember being in a meeting and the meeting was over and I looked at my calendar and I realized I had 30 minutes. And I was so grateful to just have a break. At first I cried. And then because I was so exhausted, I actually walked over to one of the big dog beds that I had in my office at the time, because I have 4 dogs and one of them has a big dog. And I laid down on the dog bed and slept for 30 minutes because my body was just so worn out from everything, from the heavy drinking that I did to try to medicate my anxiety, from the lack of sleep that I had at night because I was scared of the next workday because I didn't know how I was going to make it work. It's crazy, right? When you think
Yeah.
about the things that you put your own body through and your own mind through for the sake of appearing strong and not letting people down and not wrecking your career, even though that career is literally destroying you, literally physically destroying you.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to get in that type of cycle
Mhm.
where your work poses a problem and your solution is a problem in itself. But
Right.
it's really tough to sometimes to make that decision. I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think we talked about this. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you told me something about marketing specifically. Would you say there's something in marketing specifically that may make someone more prone to burnout? Is there some type of culture in marketing in general?
Um, the answer is yes. My brain immediately said, yes, there is. So clearly, clearly there is. But what I will say is this: marketing is not the problem. The discipline of marketing, the truth of what marketing is, which is building trust and love and value in education,
100%.
that's not the problem, right? The problem is the expectation that is put on marketing, especially in the business to business sector, as the generator of leads, the generator of revenue. Sales feels the same way. If you talk to salespeople, they will also
Oh yeah.
tell you that the pressure is insane. Like that is not a hidden secret, right?
Yeah.
The pressures that folks in sales, especially sales leaders, face are gigantic. But marketing is seen as the more gentler, right, of the disciplines. Oh, when I remember when I first started working in marketing, and my family would ask me what I did, and I tried to explain it. They'd go, "Oh, so you spend all day on Facebook?" I'm like, Sure, sure, yes, let's say that, right? Let's say that that's what I do." because it's simpler than explaining what I actually do, which is attempt to change the hearts and minds of people so that I can solve their problems. But yes, I spend all day on Facebook. But the thing about marketing is that in the B2C, B2B space, the business to business space, it has become almost like what is considered to be the magic bullet, like the secret bullet of, oh, do we need more sales? Marketing can do this. Do we need more leads?
Yeah.
Give it to marketing. Do we need to have better brand awareness? Give it to market. Everything becomes a give it to marketing. And there's a very, very large misconception of what marketing can and cannot do. Marketing is best when it is doing what I talked about, the good parts of it was, right? Building awareness, building trust, building value, long-term. Marketing is a long-term play, but it is expected, marketing and especially marketing leaders are expected to produce immediate results. Send this email, it should send us sales. So put this ad on social, it should give us more leads. That's not how marketing works, but that pressure is there. And the attempts to educate companies in many regards completely go disregarded, because if marketing can't be the magic and marketing can't fix it, then what is, right? So there is a very inherent pressure cooker that comes in marketing, where you're given a leadership position in marketing, but immediately you're also basically asked to work that magic and work that immediate benefit. And if you ever say, much like with Burnout, if you ever say, hey, that's not how that works, we need time, we need to build trust and love and brand, and it's not looked upon favorably for the most part. So yeah, the short answer is yes, there is absolutely a great deal of pressure and potential burnout that comes with being in a marketing capacity, especially a marketing leadership capacity.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It sounds like that. And I kind of see the dark logic behind it. I mean, if I was a business owner, I'd be like, hey, give me 20,000 leads by a week. Quick,
Right, right.
do it
Give
now.
me that money. Exactly. Give me that money. You put in $10,000 into Google Ads. Why isn't it giving me all the sales? And sometimes it does, but the thing is, most times it doesn't. And that is not an answer any business owner wants to hear. Patience is not something that really exists in the business world. We want results and we want them now. And that's never a good formula for anybody that's just trying to do a good job, but knows that they need time in order to do it.
Yeah. How do you feel when that happened? I think it sounds to me that the organizational culture in that organization kind of, made you feel like you can't um, speak about your issues. And I feel like on paper, in every company you can, right?
Right.
We give you a pool, you can go swimming, you can go to the gym, we have a pool table in the office, but then,
Ping pong, we have free pizza.
yeah,
Yeah,
in reality, it kind of, that's not the case.
it's not. It's not. And here's the thing to remember also, Pavel, is that you can absolutely, again, can you say it? Sure.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
are the
for sure.
repercussions when you say it, right? What is the intangible cost of admitting that you cannot or just need more time to do a good job? The intangible repercussions can be very severe. I don't know what they would be for me because I never said it, right? I faked it. I faked it till I made it. Nobody knew. Nobody knew I was going through this except for me. If you ask my kids, they would tell you, mommy was really kind of angry during that time, or mommy slept a lot. Mommy, oh, my daughter at the time, I remember this, I still have the picture. She actually drew a picture of what mommy likes, and it was my couch. It was a glass of wine. It was a couch and a glass of wine. Like that's what she read. What mommy likes. It was a couch and a glass of wine. This was my 8-year-old at the time. So my kids clearly saw it. I saw that and I was like, ha ha ha, that's not true. It was very true. And so, but I never put it out there. It was something that I suffered with silently. And I think that that is something that most people do. You suffer with it silently because, to your point, most companies will tell you, yes, by all means, come to us, tell us. There's an employee assistance program. You can take time off. But there are hidden repercussions to availing yourself of those things,
Yeah.
especially in the leadership level. And the thing is also, for the most part, what you truly need is yes, don't get me wrong, therapy is crucial for me. And it's one of the things, and we'll talk about it later, I'm
Yeah.
sure, one of
Yeah.
the things that I availed for of myself to get better. But therapy is great. But what you really need is the ability to say, it's enough right now. It's enough. I need to slow down. My team needs to slow down. We need to take a look at whether it's marketing, sales, product engineering. What we actually need to be able to say is the goals and expectations that you have set for us are unrealistic and we need to revise them because we can't handle this and it's too much. And unfortunately, no amount of PTO is going to solve that. No amount of paid time off is going to solve that.
Yeah.
No amount of ping pong tables, free pizza, coffee, none of that is going to help that, because what we actually need is to be seen as humans who are tired. What we actually need is to be given grace to say, we are tired, we don't know what we're doing, we're failing, and we need to be able to fail and then be given the opportunity to stand up. What we need to be given is time and understanding and grace. Therapy is fantastic. Free coffee is great, but
Yeah.
doesn't compared, right, with the ability to just say out loud, I'm exhausted, and then not have repercussions. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I think it's the difference of companies treating symptoms and actually treating the problem, because a pool, sure, it's gonna fix your back problems from working 12 hours a day, but it's not gonna fix the grand issue. But
That's
yeah.
exactly right. That is exactly right. And that's also why I say, don't get me wrong, a limited time off or flexible PTO, that's amazing. That is a wonderful, wonderful perk. But it doesn't fix the fact that taking a week off, it helps in the time, but it doesn't help if you're terrified and anxious of coming back at the end of that week, because you know what you're coming back to, right? Again, to your point, that was brilliantly put. Companies are treating the symptoms, not the problem. And the problem is unrealistic expectations, an absolute inability to recognize that we are asking too much, and the unspoken guilt of actually admitting that it is too much. That's the true problem. That's the sickness. And yeah,
Yeah.
no pool is going to help that.
Yeah. I'm wondering, because I've read some research on that, and how would you say that having to take care of kids on top of everything maybe gave you more stress? Because it sounds logical to me.
It, that that is a very astute observation. And what I would tell you is this: much like being a yes person is a double-edged sword, so is kids.
Yeah.
Because I think I had kids and dogs, right? I have 2 kids, I have 4 dogs. I had to get up out of bed every morning. I had to keep working. I'm a single mother, so that means that if I'm not making money, nobody's making money, right? So I had a very, very powerful motivator to get up every morning, make it work however I needed to make it work. And don't forget, this was also all happening during the very beginning and intense pandemic season 1, right? 2020.
Yeah.
And my kids were literally, I was working right here at my desk, and my kids, one kid was on this side, one kid was on the other side. They could see me for the most part all day. And so I had to keep it together. If I felt the need to cry, which I did often, I would go into the bathroom and I would cry quietly, and then I would come back and keep working. So having kids, yes, it was an incredibly powerful motivator to keep going. But at the same time, it was exhausting because there was never an off button. I was never able to turn off. So I was either working mom, or I was working Ann, or I was mom Ann, or I was dog walking Ann. There was never a break, never, ever, ever a break. And so yes, it kept me going, but it probably contributed pretty intensely to just the overall feeling of burnout, because there was never, I certainly, if I couldn't tell my company that I was burnt out, I certainly could not tell my kids. They
Yeah.
needed me to be strong in the middle of a pandemic when their entire world had just been turned around. So turned over, not even around, flipped over, shaken, stirred, destroyed, set on fire. They needed me to be the strong thing. And so I had to be the strong thing.
Wow. I don't think I could do that.
So
Oh
I
my
can't
god.
get it. I look back and I'm like, how did I have kids going to virtual school right here while also dealing with everything at work, while also having 4 dogs? How? You just do it. But then again, Pavel, I was anxious, depressed, drinking a bottle of
Yeah.
wine a night, hardly sleeping, losing weight. It was, yeah, it was, you do it and you don't know quite how. And then you emerge out the other side and you go, how, wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue into the next question is, was there like a low point for you? Would you say that there's a distinctive moment in that period of time where you'd say that that's maybe the closest to rock bottom that you got, and how did it look then?
Yeah. Um, yes. Yes, there was. There was very much a distinctive rock bottom moment. Um, there were a couple actually. Nothing that was one major one,
Yeah.
but one of the ones that was primary was number one. I took out my recycling one day, and so I keep all of my recycling and bottles and everything, like the recycling, the containers, everything, in the house in a container right near the door before I take it all out. And one day, I remember going out and dumping my recycling, and all it was bottles for 1 week. It was wine bottles, just, and you could hear them clang, 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 clang. And I was the only person drinking in the house, and there were probably 8 or 9 bottles for the week. And it was a very sobering moment to realize that that is how I was. That was my medication. That is the amount. That is not a normal. I am 5'4", like a size small. Like I am not a big person, and here I was drinking enough for an entire dinner party of 20 people in a week just to cope. Right. That was one. Another one is I like to be not necessarily controlled in the way that I approach things, but I like to always lead with kindness, always lead with understanding, always lead with joy. I'm actually a very naturally happy person. I'm obnoxiously happy in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I hear that in
And,
you.
but one day I remember very distinctly having absolutely losing my ability to control myself and my frustration and my anger in a meeting with another executive at this company, and literally yelling and raising my voice because he yelled and raised his voice to me, and we just went at it, and it was in a public space. It was like outside of a Starbucks, and it happened. And I remember looking at that and thinking to myself, that is rock bottom. I mean, for a lot of people, that might be like, whatever, that's a Tuesday. But for me, I don't yell. I don't raise my voice. I don't attack. I don't lead with unkindness and anger ever. And to know that I did that, and not only did I do that, I did that to an executive peer, and I did it in public with no regard to what was around me. That was a huge red flag. That was when I said, okay, something's got to give. I can't drink myself to death and also have no control over what was happening. I have to do something, right? That those were to me the two primary indicators that things had completely gone off the rails.
Yeah, well, I'd imagine that doing something like that, keeping in mind your personality, kind of feels like you don't even know yourself anymore.
Mm-mm.
That's the way I would see it, I guess.
Yeah, it almost felt like I was outside of myself. Like, you know how when you have those dreams and you're watching yourself do things in your dream, that's what it
Yeah.
felt like. Like I had gone out of my body and I was watching this happen. And number one, I couldn't stop it. And number two, I didn't recognize the person who I was in that moment.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's get to the good part. Let's get to recovery.
Yeah,
What did
absolutely.
you do it? What are the things that you did? Did you, first of all, did you have like a, I like to ask this, did you have like a moment of, oh my God, something's wrong, I need to fix it? And, like a immediate change of pace? Or was it a bit more gradual with you?
Um, so the moment was what we just talked about a little bit ago, where it was like,
Yeah.
okay, something is wrong. Like like something is wrong. This isn't normal. This isn't just my job is stressful. This isn't just I have too much on my plate. This is big and outside of myself, and certainly outside of what I can control if I keep doing what I'm doing. My therapist likes to say that I am a very self-aware person and that I can connect my dots really well. And that ability served me extremely well in that moment, where I was able to kind of look at potentially to other people disparate events and connect them and go, what is this? What's happening? Um, so there was that, but my recovery, as I would call it, was actually pretty gradual. So number one, I just said, okay, I cannot keep drinking like this. Like, no, can't do it. So I didn't quit cold turkey. I said, all right, we're only going to drink Friday night and Saturday night. That's it. It was incredibly hard, actually, because at that point, I had to find other ways to cope with the anxiety, right? I couldn't just drink myself into oblivion every night and make it feel better. But that was step one. So I stopped doing that. I said, okay, now I have to find another thing to do. I have to find another thing to do to help cope with my anxiety. So I started walking. I started walking a lot, just outside, not power walking, no nothing. I would grab one of my 4 dogs and I would find it just getting outside had the calming effect. And I wouldn't take my phone with me. I wouldn't take anything with me because the pinging of the emails and the Slack and everything coming was too much. So I forced myself to disconnect. I forced myself to remember that I was not curing cancer. I was not a brain surgeon. I was a marketer. And if I didn't reply to things within an hour, nobody was going to die. And that's a huge
Yeah.
realization for a lot of people, right? Like, you think of your
Huge.
job as thing, it's, if I don't do this, major consequences. Simply not true. Like, unless you are literally saving lives, and there are folks who are, those folks sure it can be on, but even they need breaks, right? And I could afford to step away. So I reduced my drinking dramatically. That was incredibly hard. I had to find other ways to cope. So I started doing just walking and getting myself out. So it wasn't just a matter of physical exercise. I was still working out during all of this. It wasn't doing much for me because it was all cycling really hard or lifting weights really heavy. It wasn't doing anything. I needed to find a way to relax, and walking
Yeah.
was the first step. And then I got a therapist. It was just something that I had considered, but I'd never done for myself. And in retrospect, considering the amount of trauma that I've been through for most of my life, and certainly when I was in the past few years, I can't believe I didn't have one before, right? And so, but I got a therapist, and then by being very direct and open with that therapist, I started doing meditation. Meditation, again, is something that for a lot of people, especially executives who are used to being like, go, 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 go. It's hard to do. Meditation is not just sitting and closing your eyes and going, That's
No,
not
it's
what it is.
not. Yeah.
It's, you need to sit down and be at peace with the quiet of yourself, number one, which is scary. And number two, you need to learn to listen to your own body and what it is telling you. You need to learn, where am I feeling the pressures? Where am I feeling my anxiety? Consciously feel it and localize it, and then work to let it go, but also feel it. Allow yourself to feel it, because emotions breed and hold in the body. So if you don't work to feel them and then work through them by feeling them, they stay there and they literally create more stress and anxiety. It's emotions that are not handled and discussed and processed. They're basically like cockroaches. They reproduce inside you if you don't let them out. And so that's what meditation is for me, is recognizing where I am,
Mhm.
how I'm feeling, feeling the emotion, allowing myself to live in it, and then letting it go. And it sounds real new agey. It sounds real like, woo, but it's crucial to just do that and be with yourself and practice mindfulness, understand where you are and how you're feeling. Again, all of it just goes back to listening to yourself, which we're very good at not doing because the world outside us is very, very loud.
Information overload. Yeah.
Information overload, work over, everything is coming at you all the time. Taking a moment to just disconnect from all of it and learning how to tune it out so that you can tune yourself in, that's, to me, that was the key. It was then that I said, that I realized, oh, I can't stay at this job. Okay, that's what my body's telling me, that this job is not sustainable. Oh, you need to stop drinking. Oh, you need to find other ways to cope. Like, but I would never have gone to any of those had I not stopped and listened to my body and realized what it needed.
Yeah. I have to say, you sound extremely mentally strong, because for a few reasons, but one that comes to mind is, I think a lot of people that would go through the throwing away of the bottles, right? I think a lot of people would be like, Oh hell, that's a lot of bottles, and kind of be bummed out about it, but then go drink again. It feels like you're very sensitive to, you know, your feelings and emotions, which is really cool.
Thank
Really
you.
cool.
Thank you. I'll say this. You're not the first person to have said this, but it's not actually something that's hard to do, but it requires a tremendous amount of self-awareness to do that. And it's something that I've tried to cultivate, especially over the last few years when we haven't had a whole lot of outlets. We haven't had a lot of ability to just be aware of things within us. We're just reacting to everything. We're basically in one giant state of trauma all the time now. And so learning to listen to yourself, because here's the thing, Pavel, you cannot be a good person for other people if you are not first good to yourself. And you need to listen to yourself first and understand what is hurt within yourself first. And spoiler alert, we all have things that are hurt and broken inside us. Nobody is immune. And in some cases, they might be very small, but in other cases, they might be very, very big. And those are the ones that are scary to realize and to think about and to then kind of hold and go, I have to fix, how do I fix this thing? It's gigantic. I can't, but just being aware of it is the first step. And then you go, all right, what's the first thing? It doesn't have to be a huge thing, but what is the first thing I can do to just make myself feel better, feel healthier, one step at a time? It's very much like, well, being like an alcoholic or any sort of recovery program. You're not expected to attend your first meeting and the next day, yay, everything's better. No, it is one day at a time, one step at a time, one small act at a time. They build up on each other. But it's that self-awareness to even begin to go, okay, this thing, these bottles that I just poured out, that's not normal. That's not normal or good. This action that I just had where I had this altercation with my coworker, that's not normal. That's not how we treat people. And sitting with that and going, okay, so this is bad. I don't know how bad it is, but I have to figure out how to fix it. So let's fix it.
Yeah.
I'm broken. I'm okay. I'm human. And now we fix it. How do I fix it? And empowering yourself to do that fixing and getting other people to help you. My therapist helped me. And when I finally told my friends helped me. There's resources out there, but you have to start with looking at yourself, understanding what you're missing, understanding where you're broken, and then taking the proactive outreach to find people to help you.
Yeah. Wow. Um, it's interesting to me how you'd say that your mindset has changed. In general, your life, how is it different now? So I'd imagine you have like a, maybe you don't have it written down or something, but I'd imagine you have like a system to stay healthy and keep away from burnout. How does your life look now? What do you do?
That is a great question. So I don't just say yes anymore. I actually say no quite a lot. I, and not in a bad way, because saying no is actually not bad, but I take stock of what is in front of me and what do I actually want to do? What will actually bring me joy or what will actually be positive to me? Because not everything that comes my way is a yes, a true yes for my health and my well-being. It might be something that other people think I need to do or other organizations feel that I need to do, but is it good for me? Will it bring me joy? Will it be healthy and positive for me? If I can't answer those questions in a yes, then the answer to the person who's asking me to do the thing is no. So I've learned how to say no, and that's hard. Saying no is hard for a yes person. But the other thing, honestly, Pavel, that has absolutely changed my life is I turn off now. So I don't turn on for work or anything until a certain time. For me, it's 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I turn on at 9 and then I turn off. Like I turn it off. I'm not checking email. I'm not checking Slack. I'm not scheduling phone calls. I'm not writing emails. I have a very specific on time and a very specific off time. And when I am off, that's it. It is my time with my family, my time with my partner, my time with my dogs. That's it. And sometimes I do nothing at all. Learning to understand that productivity does not equal value and worth was huge. I felt that unless I was doing something all the time, I wasn't being worthy. I wasn't being productive. I wasn't being good. The problem is, rest is the most important thing you can give yourself.
Yeah.
Rest is crucial, but understanding that. So, yeah, just listening to my own body, learning to say no, creating very specific on and off times. Those were the things that have proven crucial to me. And continuing to just be with myself and listen to how I'm feeling. My therapist calls it feeling, what does she call it? She goes, where do you feel the pressure in your body? Like where do you, and sitting with that. And if I'm hunching up my shoulders or I'm clenching my jaw, I stop and I go, okay, where am I feeling the pressure in this body? Okay, I'm feeling it here. Let's breathe it out. Breathing exercises. Let's breathe it out. Let's figure it out. Let's let it go. And taking the time to do that throughout the day is crucial, because then you're not holding on to it the whole time. You're not stressed out the whole time. You're learning to work through your emotions and let them free. And that's, to me, those are the things that have helped me really not necessarily avoid burnout, because on certain days I still feel very stressed on some level, but to
Yeah.
overcome long-term burnout, to overcome the long-term effects of this negatively, that's what's helped me.
Yeah. I've learned a lot through this conversation. I mean, you've pushed me to think about some stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, short-term stress is actually pretty great. I mean, it's good. If you don't have short-term stress, your bad things can happen. But
Yes.
problems are come with long-term stress.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we've had our time. The floor is yours to tell everyone something about anything. What do you want to tell everyone? Go ahead. You have the floor is yours.
Thanks, Pavel. I think so. The thing that I want to tell everyone is really, it's okay to say you're stressed. It's okay to say you're burnt out. It's okay to admit that you are tired, that it is too much, that whatever is on your plate, and it doesn't have to be a lot, sometimes it's just one or two things, is too much. And you should feel empowered, and you should feel able and free and supported to say that out loud, whether it is at home or at work. And if you don't feel empowered in any of those situations and supported, then you need to start asking yourself, am I in the right place for myself? And most of the time, you'll have that support at home, but a lot of the time, you won't have it at work. And if you do not feel supported, then the question becomes, are you in the best place for you? And maybe the answer is no. And then you need to take steps to make yourself better. The other thing is, no one will fix your burnout for you. The burnout fix has to start with you. The burnout fix has to start with a long, hard look internally and understand what you need to be a
Mhm.
calm, happy, productive individual. And it has to start with you. Nobody's going to look at you and go, hey, you look burnt out. Here's a nice list of things that you can do. Nobody. I wish. I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to give you a list. But nobody can really know. And honestly, that's so at this point, I am not working for anybody. I am working for myself. And I run a company called Human Centric Work. And what I do is I help and coach and speak on the topics of transparent leadership and people-centric workplaces and burnout healing and recognition, because these are things that are not talked about. The importance of transparent and supportive leadership, the importance of a workplace that puts the human in the middle, the importance of giving people the permission and the environment where they can say, it's too much. That's my mission now. My mission is to make sure that nobody has to go through the silent shame and pain of being burnt out like I did. I wish I'd been able to say these things out loud and felt empowered to do so. But now I'm going to make sure that everybody, that is my mission now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, and thank you for doing this. I really enjoyed talking to you. You're a joy to talk to.
Thank
This
you.
format, I think it's too short. I'm really having a lot of fun talking to you, but it is what it is. So yeah, really thank you for doing this. I had fun and it was very interesting.
Same. Thank you so much, Pavel. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you and to the folks at Digiburn. Thank you for putting together this platform, because it's a crucial message, and I love that you are supporting it.
Of course. Well, everyone, make sure to check out what Anne does. The links will be in the description, as well as her LinkedIn account if any of you want to contact her about something. And yeah, make sure to follow, like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions. Maybe we could send them over to her. And yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll see. Make sure to keep an eye out for the Digiburn launch. And yeah, burn bright, not out. Bye, everyone.